This is a message from your guides reading for the child. Okay, so I have two heart chakra stones here that I pulled today. I have my rose quartz, so healing, comfort, joy, love, peace, healing specifically with relationships, your relationships to others, your relationship to yourself, and bringing a lot of peace and harmony to those. That's what it's for. And then I have my green fluorite here. So again, a really healing stone, a lot of nature energies, also a really calming stone as well. So it helps to relieve anxiety, stress, fear. Okay, I have my big quartz laying over here too. I did not think I was going to use that for the reading, but I am. So I have this here too. So clearing and also connecting to higher energies. This is almost feeling like a kind of connecting to other aspects of yourself type of thing as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some protective space for the reading with my clear quartz here. Okay, so still pointing out the back of the neck here. And still feeling like an area, it just feels like this is going to take some time to clear out. That does not feel like it's going to happen overnight. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to either, or like it's expected to, in other words. Now, I actually have one of my guides coming up, Ezekiel Memcat. So this is one of the council members of the Council for the Assistance to Earth that I channel. As you probably know, okay, so one of his major sort of themes is clarity. He is extremely clear. He's very well, he's very detached. He's very detached. He has this level of calm. This is also why he can come against so much negativity, why he's able to fight reptilians and other very negative entities. Not to say that all reptoids are negative, but certain races. And so that's also part of the reason why he's able to handle those types of energies and combat them. It's because he remains very detached and very calm. And he's saying that there's this level of freedom that comes from that he's saying that you don't have yet. He's saying that when you're tangled in emotions, that's why you don't have that freedom yet. He's saying the freedom is there, it's accessible, but he's saying that it comes from detachment. It comes from a detached state. So he's saying that right now you can get kind of wrapped up in emotions, but it doesn't feel like only right now. This is this feels like for a really long time, for like lifetimes, lifetimes and lifetimes that you've had. It feels like this has been an issue. And he's saying that a higher perspective needs to be accessed, which is also part of the reason that I am using this stone as well. Okay, and then part of the reason that I'm using the green fluorite here, this is also, like I said, this is a really, really calming stone. Okay, it relieves fear, stress, anxiety, worry, and it brings a lot of peace. And then obviously there's the comfort and the joy from the rose quartz. But he's saying that those true emotions are only accessible when you're calm, when you're in a calm state. Now, he's also saying that what he means by true emotions, he means in their truest form, like their purest form, where like they're coming from only calm. And this is what he experiences all the time. So, in other words, he's saying there's like no fear, no worry. There's nothing else to integrate. There's nothing that removes you from that state of calm, which he's also saying that we don't really have here on Earth yet. Because he's also saying that we are meant to experience negative things here. This is like sort of 3D world, and our souls are exploring certain negative patterns and behaviors, so he understands that. But the whole point, as well as the sort of ascension process on Earth, which means removing your negative patterns and beliefs. And he's also saying slowly, he's saying that things run a little bit more slowly here before they manifest. But he's also saying that that's relieving. You're not expected to do everything all at once down here. And there's a sort of process to learning. And he's also saying that going through that process is what enables you to learn here. So he's saying all these sort of different levels of enlightenment, or even he's even calling them sort of phases of enlightenment, or transitions to almost different heightened states of enlightenment. Because he's also saying there's sort of a transition phase as well, even if people don't always register it, because he's saying that sometimes people do become enlightened sort of overnight, or it seems that way to them. But he's saying that there was always this transition process. So he's saying that you're not expected to become enlightened overnight, even if you do, because even if you do, you haven't really. So the reason that he's coming to you is again pertaining to this clarity that he has, which he also says that you're seeking to find. That's something that your soul is seeking out. Not that your soul doesn't have it, or in other words, like your reality in its truest form. But the soul, as also as in attached to the concept of your personality as well. Is he saying that the soul does have its personality? And the personality contains all of these different things. So, in other words, when you leave your body, when somebody transitions, they experience death, they're not just automatically free of all these beliefs. So, people have astral projected and they'll go out there and they'll see people eating and doing all these sort of routines that they did here, or they even are still practicing religions and pretty odd things that we wouldn't think of here. But as a lot of mediums who specifically read people who crossed over, so not my kind of medium, but people who read people who have crossed over, a lot of them will tell you, grandma is still grandma. these these people, a lot of them still, most of them still have their beliefs and their structures. Some of that obviously is going to be eaten away at once they die, if they choose that. But then some people go much, much higher up because that's, again, what they choose. So he's saying that you're limited by yourself only. Nobody else limits you. And he's also saying that nobody else can limit you. And he's also saying that no one else can free your mind. That's always your responsibility. But at the same time, he's also saying that there's no expectations ever. There are certain things that you ordain for yourself and with your guides. They, with your guides who know what is best for you and they have your best intentions, they can sort of look at things with you like, okay, these are some of the things that would be, it's sort of like suggestions that would be good for you to go through, and then you contract different things or you decide different things with them. So you almost have, you sort of have like a team of like advisors. He's even saying like lawyers, like this type of thing. Um, they're gonna help you get through this process, and they give you suggestions. But you're the ultimate decision maker. You decide what you best need to learn. So you decide what you resonate with of the things that they're telling you, and then obviously you have your own input as well. So he's saying that clarity is the thing that's needed. And he's saying that any negative or harmful trait, he's saying like abusive impulses, but also just negative emotions in general when somebody's in a down state. He's saying that this all has to do with attachments, all of it. Like he's saying, I lost my car. I feel like crap now. But you wouldn't if you were not attached to this need that you have. And again, he's saying this is coming from the persona. This is coming from the person who has these concepts in their mind, or in other words, their personality. So the only reason that you are limitless, the only reason that you are able to step into well, other aspects of yourself that are freer is because they're there, they exist. So you have this totally untouched, unlimited version of yourself, which again the council calls your reality, because it's your truest form. It's you in reality. It's you without all this crap. So he's saying that you can always access that. He's saying, but for nearly everyone, it comes through in portions. Um, he's also saying that you do need your personality to be retained. But eventually he's saying that it merges with the reality. Which he's saying is a little bit difficult to explain, since you're almost talking about a merging and yet a sense of separation at the same time. So it's like you're still there, you are your individual self, but you're totally merged and connected with this, again, this like the truest form of yourself, this part of yourself. And it's like they completely act as one. You're still able to have lifetimes, you're still able to learn. So he's saying that you don't lose yourself, but you gain yourself. You become totally unlimited, where through your personality, um, now you're able to do unlimited things. Things that he's saying people wouldn't even dream of here. He's saying we're talking like way beyond the superheroes in the movies. He's saying that's actually like a lower level of um, the abilities. But that's what we're able to think up here. And that is what we're working towards here. But he's saying, for instance, like in X-Men, you know, they each sort of have their specialty. One is able to lift things into the air with their mind. You know, one is able to do things with the weather. But he's kind of saying, why can't you do both of those things? Why can't you affect the weather? Um, if you can already like lift things in the air, he's saying it should be pretty easy um, to affect the weather. He's saying that once you learn one thing, you sort of knock out a lot of other things as well. Just because he's saying it's one concept that triggers all of these different things. But he's saying that you have to rid yourself of negativity to get to that point. Because he's like, that's making me laugh. I think he kind of is saying that in a joking way. Um, because it's also just coming through in this way where I'm kind of laughing at it, but it's true. Like, I feel like it's true. But he's saying, because we don't trust you. But he doesn't mean it like you individually. He means like, sort of the collective consciousness on Earth right now. They have so much negativity, right? As a whole, like look at what we're doing, like polluting the earth and all these things, and we have so many negative people in power, etc., etc. So he's saying you have to learn this slowly, and he's also saying that it's based off an individual basis. So he's saying it's based off who is individually ready, in other words. So he's saying that there's a reason that things are slow to manifest here. It's because in 3D land, there's so much negativity that we are transitioning through. And he's saying that it's a phase. He's saying that eventually we'll come out of it, we'll rise out of it. But he's saying that we don't really see that yet, or see how to do that, or see how to fix the problems that we have here yet. And there's always this choice that we have collectively where we can do it now, we can fix the problem now, or we can continue to prolong it. And he's saying that so far we tend to choose to prolong uh, almost like certain aspects of our negative our negative self, but again, he's almost meaning in like a collective joint way. There's still like certain societal programmings, in other words, that we all tend to choose that mask themselves maybe as beneficial or the right way to think, or as helpful in some way. But a lot of them are like reptilian based and just negative based. Or even like other like negative, he's saying dark ETs, because he's saying that a lot of these programmings come from them. It comes from like negative races ultimately, who try to program our minds in certain ways. Okay, but he's saying getting back to clarity. He's saying, why do you have any negative experience? It's because of your lack of understanding. Uh, and he's saying that that comes from a lack of detachment. He's saying that if you are clutching something in your hand and your hand is closed, you can't see what's there. You can't see what's in your hand. You can have some sense of it, Like you can kind of feel what it is. Maybe you logically know to a degree what's there in your hand, but at the same time, your hand is closed and you are holding on to this thing. So you don't see it. You don't see what you're holding on to. He's saying that if you open your hand, he's saying that you're going to see it more. But he's saying, but let's say it's like a long ribbon. Even if you open your hand, now you can see it better. But to be contained in your hand, it has to be sort of wrapped up in this kind of ball in order for you to hold it, in order for it to successfully uh, stay in your hand, in order for you to keep it there. So you're still not fully looking at it. And in order for you to keep it there, you can't be looking at it. Now, if you let go of some of it, you let some of it slip through your fingers, you start to see it a little bit more. Maybe you can start to get an idea of how long maybe it is. Maybe now you can start to see if there are actually some variations, like maybe part of the ribbon that you couldn't see underneath sort of the surface, what you could see of it. Um, if some of it from the bottom kind of slips out, now maybe you're noticing, oh, there's some other shades of color, or there's some patterns that I wasn't seeing in this cord here. He's saying, okay, so that's why he's using this idea of a ribbon. Because he's saying he thinks of an attachment as like a cord. It's something that you're holding on to, but it's also something that ties you to something or someone. Even if it ties you to a thought form or another version of yourself that you need to release, and it needs to integrate and become whole. Which just means it needs to let go of falsehood, it needs to let go of unclarity. He says it's only detachment that enables that. It's only detachment that gives access to that or makes that viable. Because again, he's saying you can't see what you're holding on so tightly to. And he's saying that we can hold on to things out of logic to a degree, definitely. But even with that, he's saying that there is an emotion that goes hand in hand with our logic. So he's saying that we tend to mostly base our attachments off our emotions, our emotional needs. And needing is always lacking something. So he's saying that this is always a negative state versus a positive one. If you feel that you have all that you need, you lack nothing in a certain area, In that area, you're much more positive. That area has merged more with your reality self. The parts of you that are so attached and needing something artificial, or in other words, needing something on the outside of you. Artificial just means they're not you. So they don't have real substance. He's saying not that another person doesn't have real substance, but he is saying that an attachment to them doesn't. Because you have to get to the point where you are all that you need. And then you have an actual divine connection with somebody else. But he's saying until you get to that point, you base it off of emotional needs and lack, and a lack mentality. And again, though, he's saying some areas you can be clearer on than others, or some areas you can be more detached with than others. On the one hand, he's saying there is this sort of concept of attachment that isn't a negative thing, that's a good thing, and that's sort of required to be connected to somebody else. But he's saying that they call that a connection, not an attachment. So he's saying that you can be connected. He's saying that you can merge with another person even. And he's saying that there are different degrees of that you can experience. Obviously, with a twin flame, he's saying obviously it's going to be more. You can get to the point where it is a constant, like, telepathic and emotional connection, where you feel like you're one. But at the same time, he can communicate with somebody else telepathically at times. He's not going to constantly be in their mind, connected to them in this way where he would be with a twin flame. Yeah. A twin flame, I mean his twin flame. Yeah, he's only got one. But the point is, even then, he's saying it's about surrendering, letting go. He has no barriers. He doesn't have anything to hide. And he allows this full connection. Now, on the other hand, he's saying that there's with a reptilian, there's plenty of things that he would want to hide. There's certainly information he wouldn't want them to have access to, in other words. So he's going to close off his mind to that. He has the ability to do that. He also has the ability to see people clearly, to read them accurately, and to respond to them based off motives. He can see their motivation clearly. So he's saying that he's a good ally for you to have right now for a lot of reasons. He's saying that he doesn't hold judgments. And therefore I can see it, a person clearly, he's saying. Now he's saying that you have to look at the word judgment a different way. Because he's saying that you're programmed to judge the person in what we would see as a positive way. But he's saying that it's in a sense of the most negative way, since it allows the person to be negative ongoingly. So, no, this person is really blank. Nice. This person is really trustworthy. This person is really whatever positive thing that you fill in the blank there, when really the person is not. So he's saying that that is a judgment. So he's saying that judgment has to be looked at in a very different way, because he's saying that that's a very negative thing. You're not seeing the person as they are. You're feeling like you have to be, you have to see them in a programmed way. So you're judging them based off programmings. He's saying that when he looks at a person, he's still, and he knows what their motivations are based off that stillness. He's saying that he continues to be himself, but he's saying that he still approaches people differently based off themselves. So if he can see that someone is having a negative intention towards him, or even just in general, they have a more negative than positive vibration, and therefore more negative and harmful intention towards themselves, which automatically means more negative towards others. Even if they don't want to be negative towards themselves or others. So he's saying that it isn't about what the person says. He's saying it's about what their energy says and what their actions state. He's saying that the statement actions speak louder than words is a very true statement. So he's saying that if someone poses a threat to him or his family or people in general, he's going to act accordingly. So he's saying that he doesn't treat everyone the same way. And he's saying that's out of respect for himself. He's saying he doesn't see everybody the same way, since no one is the same. But he's saying that it's out of a clarity. He's not judging the person. And he's saying that there's a vast difference beyond measure between judging a person and observing them as they are. In fact, he's saying observing them as they are is doing the opposite of judging them out of your own programmings. but he's saying that it's only when you're detached from your programmings that you allow that through. Okay, so he's saying that that's all that he has to say. He's saying that's all that he has to say for now. Now, he's saying for now, because he's saying that he's not going to be coming through in other readings, but uh, he's saying that if you're willing to work with him and you want to allow that, then he'll be around you and helping you. So that's the reason that he's saying that's all that he has to communicate for now. Okay, so he's saying thank you very much for listening, for allowing him to come through during the reading. So thank you on my end as well for allowing me to do another reading for you. I truly hope that this has benefited you. Thank you very much. Namaste.